Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't.
Hey everyone, it is Friday, March 14th. And today is Friday Night Live, just like we always do every Friday. So let me start today to tell you, man, we've had a lot of work done this week. We've only got about 37-ish people, I think, showing up so far. So just give it a couple of minutes. And hey, Ann, how you doing? And get the rest of you in here, and then we'll start. I'm just going to tell you, keep on doing your homework. Keep doing what you have to do. We gave you a couple of homework assignments in your email, and we're going to keep sending those out for all weekend long. Hey, Dan, nice to see you too. Hi, Diana. Hi, Ellen. So we want to make sure that you are doing the targeting work that we've asked, because there's a lot happening real fast. And it looks like we were pretty spot on with this whole pension debacle thing. Shocking, but it looks like we were. And I'm sure more will be coming out on that really soon. But there is still a bill buried in the budget, and the budget has to be passed in the next couple weeks at the state. And right now the bill language looks like one version in the Assembly and in another version in the Senate, and the two of them are going to have to align somewhere. Otherwise, somewhere that bill's going to go away. Your job is going to be to keep educating the state legislature. And we're going to keep adding more emails on there, because we want you to send these emails, not just to the Senate, where the bill language doesn't mirror the Assembly because they passed their language. But we want you to send it to the Assembly, the Senate, and the leadership. And today you guys did that when I started just a couple hours ago. Let me see if I can pull up that email and see how many people so far have sent that. So right now my count is showing me 7,542 emails. You guys keep plugging right along and doing great work, because that's really good for just a couple hours. We need to make sure they hear you loud and clear. As a pensioner, current or future, this affected you, and you they had an obligation, as in they being leadership, had an obligation to ask you how you felt about your monies being used this way. Our hypothesis was that they were using the pensions. They were leveraging the pensions, and they meaning Henry Garrido, District Council 37, Michael Mulgrew of the United Federation of Teachers, leveraging NYSERS, New York City Employee Retirement System, BERS, that's your Board of Education Retirement System, as well as your TRS, Teachers Retirement System, and leveraging the funding that was supposed to go in there. If you heard Tom Brown's video, he was saying, well, no one's taking money out of the pension, and there's no borrowing money. No, it really wasn't. That's not what we said. I don't know where he was getting that, but the United Federation of Teachers has this way, just like Henry, it's like gaslighting, and they have this way of nuancing the language to twist it around. Well, if that's weren't what you were doing, why didn't you say what you were doing? And then we come to find out they were doing this for 2 years. Once we won Bentkowski. When we first won the Bentkowski case, which was middle of 23, I guess, they were planning to implement this for 24. And that's when they started working on the language. I'm asking all of you guys to shoot an email out to Henry Garrido, M. Mulgrew, and Henry Garrido, M. Mulgrew at uft.org, and Henry Garrido, H.A. Garrido at dc37.net. And Garrido is Garrido. Email the both of them and ask them when they started to do this and why, and see if they'll tell you. Because Our belief is that from what we've learned, is that they started to do that language in the budget bill 2 years ago. This isn't the first draft, and this isn't new. They wanted to come up with cash once they realized they weren't going to get money from us. They tried to get it another way. Rather than do what they should have done was come up with funding on their own. And you would think that they would have learned. Another tip off for us was when we spoke to the fire and the police pension systems, and they were like, well, we were approached, but we said, no way, Jose. We're not doing this. And then it walked back. And then I'm watching the budget hearing, and I'm like, what? They actually bring it up in the budget hearing. So it was stunning to see that other people were looking at this too, because we learned about it kind of by accident. Someone approached us and said, what do you know about this? And at the time, I hadn't known anything. But then once we started looking, because it wasn't a free standalone pension bill, it was buried in the budget. It was called a language bill. And that's how we figured it out. So that's the pension situation where stay tuned next week, because this is not ending here. This is going to still be here until this budget passes, and that either bill gets passed or the bill dies. And that's the only way. Because when Michael Mulgrew said that they walked back their support of that legislation, well, they weren't entirely truthful about that. He gave you an email link. He gave you a link in his letter, only to retirees, by the way. He never reported this to active workers, that they were walking back their support. They sent an email to the city actuary, and the city actuary, the only thing they could do is say, review the bill language, see what it's worth, see what the cost would be, what the risks would be, and file that with the bill and let the state know how they feel about it. Usually terminology is called fiscal note, what that bill costs, what the risks are, and that's what they sent to the state. Well, why would Michael Mulgrew send that to the actuary when he really should have called Governor Hochul and Andrea Stewart-Cousins and Carl Heastie and the Assembly and the Senate and said, hey, you know that bill I gave you 2 years ago and we've been working on for the last 2 years behind everybody's back? You might want to actually pull that because cat's out of the bag and everyone knows about it and they're really mad. Henry Garrido went into hiding with us. He won't talk about it to anybody other than a couple of union presidents in an e-board meeting that eventually got back to a few more union people that ended up telling us that we were correct. That Henry said to them that they were going to pass costs, premium costs, onto employees and retirees if they didn't leverage the pension. So, James, we actually are streaming on Facebook. My apologies. I did forget to put the link in our Facebook page. Give me one second because that's my bad. Thanks for reminding me. I did not do that. Let's see. I just wish it would always go to the right place, but it doesn't. So see if I could do two things at the same time. So Henry decided he wasn't going to tell anybody about it. We ended up finding out anyway. And then a couple of the union presidents called me and said, you're right. He basically said, if you don't do this, then if they don't do this, they're going to all be charged premium. And they didn't want to be charged premium. So they figured, well, let's just tell them we're going to do this budget bill, and let's not tell them we're going to do this budget bill, and let's just put it in. They were figuring that we were stupid and we wouldn't know about it and we wouldn't get tipped off and we'd probably never know. And then it would have been passed because they've been working on it for 2 years and we didn't know about it at all. So then what? They would have gotten away with it if we didn't literally get that phone call. So this is the frustrating part about this, is because we're literally supposed to be retired. Like, this shouldn't be something that we should be dealing with at this point in our life. Like, it's not enough that we have to be fighting them, lying to us, fighting to protect our city bill, fighting to protect our state bill, fighting to do our litigation and protecting our benefits that we earned. I mean, that's just absolutely, it's just absolutely insane. And then finding out Odette Tinio is a political action director who used to work for 32BJ, who used to work for NISNA, the nurses, and works for DC 37, is running around the city and the state, literally lobbying against our bills, spewing lies. Like, this is crazy. Camille says, should I call my New York State Senator Assembly rate? Yes, you should. We put up an email we posted to our Facebook page today, which I'll eventually get out in a newsletter. We have some bad storms coming here, so I don't know if I'm going to lose my power tonight or tomorrow, but there is a link on our Facebook page. It's called the Pension Ponzi Scheme. And just click that. It'll send it to about 70 something people. And we'll just keep changing up the email list as we go along. But you're free to send it, send that to anyone you want to send it to. So that's the deal there. Sent a nice reply to Lee Saunders saying, I feel like arrows are hitting me from all sides. I'm glad, Camille. Good for you. And make sure if you're DC 37, all you have to do is, if you're paying a people's campaign, stop paying a people's campaign. You shouldn't be paying them PAC money, political action money, to be used against you, because that's just ridiculous. So we have a couple other announcements. We did, as if you're watching our Retired Labor Strong website down below, .nyc, we updated it a little bit. I do have to add some more to it, so that'll probably get to around the weekend. But Harvey Epstein, who is an assembly person, he is running for District 2. He is supporting us as well. And so is Sarah Bachu, also running for District 2. She's also supporting us. We will do ranked choice voting in that District 2. Frank Morano, District 31. He's taking the seat, running for the seat for Joe Borelli. There's still a couple candidates. There's 2 more candidates we have to meet for in that district. But so far, he sent us a letter of support, and he's behind us as well. So that is our candidate update. Tomorrow, there is a rally in Foley Square in Manhattan. Hello, Katie, love my ABC crew. There is a rally in Manhattan, Foley Square. And there's going to be about 9,000 or 10,000 people. We will not be there in official capacity, but you guys are welcome to go. It is a protest against healthcare cuts and increased costs, and it's with several national organizations and a whole bunch of unions. Yes, our truck will be there. And you guys are welcome to go as well. I have a procedure on Monday, so I cannot be coming up there. But you guys are free to go to take pictures. You're welcome to send them to us. It would be nice to see you guys there. Not urgent if you don't, but just know that it's happening. I did post that flyer on our Facebook page this morning. Let's see, what else do we got? The 2 email links. So I gave you those 2 email links this morning of what to do. One was regarding DC 37 and the other was regarding the pension bill. Thank you guys for jumping on both of those. I know I gave you a lot of homework today. You can and I know some city council members are probably listening to me, but don't worry, it's okay. They're going to get a little bit of a break for the next week or so from probably getting a lot of emails from us, because most of them are blocking our emails anyway. But we are working on those 2 email campaigns that we posted this morning, as those take a little more of a priority. So I am okay, Ellen. Thanks for asking. When I was in court with you guys in November, I had fallen and injured my shoulder really bad. And some scar tissue had developed in the joint, and it froze my shoulder. So Friday, they have to knock me out and break my arm free, which I'm sure is going to hurt like hell. But I've got meetings on Wednesday, so I've got to be back up, and a whole bunch of stuff to do. So let's see. John says several mainstream media exposes of Medicare disadvantage scams cheating the Medicare system. Yes, absolutely. Ellen, are we now going to have to pay an outside consultant to do legislation tracking so we don't end up being blindsided by yet another attempt to something in the budget bill or some other bill? Okay, that's a great question, Ellen. Let me tell you what happened yesterday. So you saw me basically really furious at Eric Dinowitz's office over our retiree Gail, who was frustrated in multiple calls and emails to Eric Dinowitz's office from District 11 in the Bronx, not listening to her, not calling her back, not emailing her back, refusing to schedule appointments with her. His office literally told her, we don't have to respond to retirees, that Eric told them that if they didn't like any retiree's attitude, they could refuse to issue an appointment. The council member said that they were to demand respect, but I guess they don't have to respect retirees. So she, to my understanding, was rightfully frustrated by her own elected official not paying her any attention, not respecting her, yet they were demanding respect. It is a disrespect. This city council is probably the most ageist city council ever, and it's absolutely shocking. And for Mr. Dinowitz, have been coming from the educator circle, it's even more of a disappointment. So after that, I get a phone call from another large union organization, basically telling me that they're not going to come out against our bill. They're not going to support it, but they want to change the language of it. It's just a suggestion, you know? And I was like, what's the language? Why are you doing this? And I actually sent them a copy that I was given of their proposed language and what are they looking to do. So if you are an AFL-CIO union, whether you are active or retired, pay attention because this is coming next. Let's get through the next 2 weeks because I want to see where this goes. This large organization thinks it's okay to try to force all retirees, our bill, to change the language of our retiree bill that would allow them to diminish our health care benefit to equal measure that they would reduce a benefit to an active worker. If that language sounds familiar, it should, because it's called the Moratorium Act. And back in, I think it was 1999, 2004-ish, the AFT and UFT passed a state law preventing diminishment of retiree benefits if there was no equal diminishment to a benefit of an active worker. You see, then, that decade, normal labor leaders knew that you would never screw an employee. You would never diminish an active worker's benefit. So you were safe to say, we won't screw a retiree because we're not going to equally screw an employee. So the moratorium law says that they cannot diminish a retiree's healthcare benefits if they don't equally diminish them for an employee. They cannot diminish a retiree's benefit unless they equally diminish an employee's benefit. Okay. So I said, no, I'm not taking that language. Now, well, it's fine for the teachers. Well, they're a bunch of idiots. The union leaders that did that is a bunch of idiots. Well, who did that? Well, okay, it goes back to like 2004. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the deal on this. Right now, we've been arguing for like the last 10 years. Michael Mulgrew and Henry Garrido have been diminishing benefits for employees and retirees. We know that Michael Mulgrew walked away from this deal from the retiree. Well, he says he walked back the Medicare Advantage plan. But the only reason he did it is because they're not working right now to actively diminish the active worker benefits because he's running for re-election. So how's that going to look? You'll keep seeing him toss $100 at his members towards their welfare fund benefits. Looking what I'm giving you. Look at this. Look at this. Don't look over there. Look at this. But he does not want them to recognize that he's actively negotiating a contract against them. So he walked back the Medicare Advantage plan because he wasn't going to reduce a benefit to an employee in an election year. That's moratorium, because he knew if he did, the retirees could have sued the union. Now, and this has been done before, by the way, this is not the first time. So not his union, by the way, this happens in other school districts. The Moratorium Act only covers school district employees, okay? When I saw Michael Mulgrew in 2022, he told me that there was no such thing as the Moratorium Act and they didn't fall under it. Oh, yes, you did. and he knew it. He just didn't like that I knew it. That's why Henry Garrido was afraid to walk it back, because he's not covered by the moratorium. Now, Henry Garrido catches on, and so does Michael Mulgrew, that we caught on to them with this pension bill, and they slipped a couple of legislators' language to modify the language of our state bill that would diminish the benefit only if they diminished it equally to an employee. And I said, no way, Jose. And they said, why? I said, because they've been doing that for the last 10 years in New York City. I'm not going to say that, because these labor leaders have no conscience. They're not like labor leaders of yesterday that would never have diminished a benefit for a retired worker or an employee. Henry Garrido, Michael Mulgrew, Harry Nispoli, the MLC have been diminishing benefits for everyone. And I'm not going to stand for that. So he said, well, okay, then if not that language, something else. And that's where my argument ended. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're going to see where this is going to go. So is it TWU? What do you mean is it T? No, it was not TWU, but TWU is an AFL union. But I think that language came from Henry Garrido or Michael Mulgrew, because they really would have been the only two that would have known about it. But this does affect you guys, Lloyd. If you're not on our Facebook page, you should be, because you guys need to be doing that pension link as well and blasting that out to your members and getting them to sign it. That pension bill affects you guys, your NYSERS members as well. Okay. Roberta, do people not understand that we don't have an opportunity or the time in our life to make up for any diminishment? But no, they don't care, Roberta. They don't even know what we look like, and they don't care to know what we look like. They're just looking for money. And you've got Henry Garrido and Michael Mulgrew flipping over cushions, looking for anything that they can possibly find and who they can rob from, literally. So we'll see where that goes. What the hell? There's nothing union about these. No. And this is what they don't understand. This is an anti-union behavior. And they want to say, like, Laura Morand or Gloria Middleton used to accuse me of being anti-union. No, my dears. You guys are anti-union. Laura Morand is anti-union. Donald Nesbitt, anti-union. Greg Floyd, anti-union. And here's the deal. This is why I say that. If you are okay with diminishing a benefit for a retired unionist, and let's just talk union for a moment, because this whole healthcare saga doesn't just affect union retirees. We have a third of our members who are non-union managerial policymakers, not in a union ever. Okay. So this affects them as well. And we have to keep telling people that, because they think this is just a union deal. What do you do when you're not in a union? So we said to them, no, this isn't going to work. And so I said to this major union person, I said, if you are okay with diminishing a benefit for a retiree, as long as it's diminished equally to an employee, you might as well hand over your union card, because you will cause the death of unionism as we know it. There will be no reason. You thought Janice was scary? You doing this, no one will have any reason to pay a union dues. Because once they hear that you're going to say, I got you, don't worry, take this crappy wage, this 3% increase, and when you retire, you'll have this great pension and health care. And then once they're gone, you steal everything they earned. People are watching. This is why DC 37 has like over 10,000 people that aren't paying union dues. They're disgusted with Henry. They're disgusted with what they're doing. They're apathetic, and they've lost faith in the union that's supposed to be protecting them. That's why. So we're being union. We are being true to labor. We are doing the right thing in protecting what you guys earned, which is what they should have done. Not worked against us, not lied, not tell council members that they represent retirees. And you know what this union guy told me? I don't work for you, Marianne. And I said, really? But yet you think I'm in a union, and you think I'm supposed to go to my union president and beg them to get on my bill so you will help me pass it. But then you don't work for me. This makes no sense. Okay. No problem. And I hung up the phone. Says everything I needed to hear. So it's very frustrating. Yes, it is. It is absolutely union busting. It's absolutely union busting. And yet they're not going to say it because they're the ones that are committing it. Lee Saunders, AFSCME, Ann Widger, AFSCME International, DC 37 Retirees, Odette Tinio, Political Action Director, DC 37, Henry Garrido, DC 37, Michael Mulgrew, UFT, Harry Nespoli, 831, Sanitation. They are all doing it. Greg Floyd won't listen for shit, union busting. Gloria Middleton, the same thing. Local CWA, Local 1180. They are okay with stealing from a retired worker to finance them. And these people behind me should have had all of your back because they should have seen this coming a long time ago. But hang in there because more is coming on that. Hopefully sometime next week, I guess. Why should we continue paying union dues? Well, Eileen, if you are an active worker, paying a union dues will allow you to run for office and unseat the morons that are currently occupying those seats. That's why. Katie, healthcare and pensions impact active and retirees of every union. Yes, they absolutely do. Just got a letter from New York City doing a healthcare audit. Didn't New York City retirees suggest this years ago instead of diminishing our healthcare? Now they're doing both. Okay, that's a great, I'm glad to see that they're doing that. But I'm only going to tell you that, they're not doing a full audit of the entire healthcare rolls. They're only doing like 5% of the system. And the reason being is because the city makes the MLC pay for that audit when the city should be doing the audit. That's how disgusting that is. So they're only going to do a small portion. I'd have to find the minutes from that. It was something like 5% of retirees because they weren't doing it. They weren't doing that. The last time was the major audit was during Bloomberg, and they found like $180 million worth of savings of people that were on the New York City healthcare plan that shouldn't have been on it. The city of New York should be conducting an audit annually of who's on the healthcare program so that they know who belongs on it and who doesn't, who ages out and is still on the rolls, who has died and is still on the rolls. And here's the other kick in the head. They kept insisting with me that there weren't dead people on the rolls, and Henry Garrido did too, and he teased us like we were a bunch of idiots. No, we know that because we compare it with the Social Security rolls. No, you don't. You compare retirees who were on the Social Security rolls. What they weren't telling you is they weren't checking to see about spouses or family members. If you lost a child or a spouse and they were the dependent on your healthcare plan, they could be on your plan for 5 years. So the city of New York stupidly writes us an email 2 years ago and says, well, if they're dead, then there's no bills being paid. I'm like, no, you idiot. You're paying premium for each and every one of those dead people. And sadly, we came across two. We gave them the names and they wouldn't confirm or deny. But they were on the healthcare plan with their retiree spouse for 5 years. So, comptroller, if you're listening to me, that would be a good place to conduct an audit, and the city should be picking that up, not the union. Richard says, should the DOE bring back 5525? So, Richard, those are negotiations that the unions have to do. That's not a retiree conversation. The unions have to negotiate their pensions, and then they have to get a home rule and bring it back to the state. That has to be a state pension. Are they going to do that? Probably not. They could, but right now I don't think that they're in a position for leverage. And you spotted Ann Widger in that DC 37 mayoral photo smiling with retirees. Disgraceful. Yes, absolutely. She decided to blend like she was one of you. And she wasn't. Since police and fire pension trustees said no to the city pausing pension. Since police and fire pension trustees said no to the city pension. What's the question in there, Dan? I think you're missing a couple words in there. Since the issue with DC 37 is that if you don't join the union in the workplace, they are forced to pay an agency fee. So where the fee went to, I was never able to find the answer. So my faith in the union. So Kathy, I believe agency fees went away. I'd have to double check on that, but it's to my understanding they couldn't charge you an agency fee after Janus, which was like 2017, I think. I have to double check that. Katie, he means that fire police didn't cave to this nonsense. Yes, thank you for if you understood that better than me and telling me. Yes, the fire and police did not agree to the deal. Absolutely correct. Roberta, I read every elected official knows the 2 rules of office. Rule 1, the first priority is to get elected. Rule 2, never forget the first rule. Union heads are elected the same as politicians. That's great, Roberta. I like that. So let's see. Kathy. My faith in the union was shaken to my core when I found out how the leadership treated us like imbeciles. I was raised on the union mantra by my father. It's so heartbreaking. I agree with you because I was raised with a labor education, and I was very disgusted to see this. Was very disheartening to see that that's what they were doing, because this will destroy the labor movement. That's exactly what you don't want, because we helped build it. Looking for some good news of any kind in our battle. So much is at stake from federal cuts to our benefit. So Susan, I do have some good news for you guys. Thank you for asking. So you guys got behind Jim Walden, one of our candidates, and so many of you gave such wonderful, generous donations to him, even grassroots. Lisa Flansreich, thank you to you, because you gave him the maximum that you could give him. And he was very, very thankful for what you did. Many of you did. And it was a tremendous thing. Now, understand, Jim is an independent candidate. He would be running not on a party machine line like a Democrat or Republican, but as an independent. And he met his matching benchmark just today or yesterday. So he wants to thank all of you and let you know that you got him there. That is a huge benchmark for someone who is running as a third-party candidate, because you recognize that he believes in you. And so he wanted me to make sure that we said thank you for him. And he will be back on our Friday Night Lives, I think probably in about 2 weeks. Erwin, you're asking about the copay case. There is still nothing final in the copay case. And we only have a date of May 15th in Albany for the Bentkowski case. We will be putting up a sign up for that. And again, remember, we are looking this time for twice the amount of retirees to come with us in May. Please only sign up. When that list comes out, please only sign up if you are committed to coming, because we will be calling you and asking you to commit to being there. Because if we end up that day leaving and those buses aren't filled, I'm not going to be happy. Janet, I'm confused about the support for ABC. Didn't you criticize Amy Arundel back in November of 22? Okay, Janet, it's 2025. Appreciate that people learn what they weren't told by the people in leadership that they relied on. John Harrington, let us know if and when you need bodyguards. I remember the Great Panthers. Thank you. Angie, I got a letter from DC 37 to join. They are hungry for members. DC 37 retirees right now, I would say if you want to join it, go ahead, but do not. I'm not renewing my membership in DC 37 retirees. I see absolutely no purpose to do it. I have enough on my plate fighting here. I can help encourage you guys to do what you want to do. I'm actually encouraging Neil and Ray to start their own retirees association. You don't need DC 37 retirees in my book. So he thinks that you do. I'm not going to discount that. If you want to join the DC 37 retirees, I would say join them by writing them a check. Don't join them by dues checkoff, because they're giving people a hard time in coming off of dues checkoff if they want to come off of that. Remember, as a retiree, you are not a union member, but DC 37 controls the ability to have a dues checkoff. We asked for a dues checkoff. Henry Garrido told the city of New York no. So while they're working against us in every facet, I personally don't see any reason to support them. If you do choose to join the DC 37 Retirees Association, I would suggest to you, you pay them by check and not by dues checkoff. We are struggling with a couple people that have been trying for a long time to get their PAC money stopped, and they're not listening. Laura says, yay for Jim. My husband and I donated a number of times to him. We need Jim desperately. Thank you, Laura. We appreciate you both for doing that. Ellen says, Laura, I donated too, even though I'm in New Jersey. Anne says, yay, Jim, for us putting him over the donations he need. Maybe one of mine did it. I bet you it did. He was so elated today. He sent all of us an email telling us thank you for all the support that we've given him. He met his dollar figure, and he met his person, he's over his person count. For someone who's running as a third party to get the amount of support that he did, John Manning was telling me earlier, like, that is monumental. So it's important to give a kudos out to him and to all of you that supported that. On our website, you will see other mayoral candidates that are supporting us, and that would be Jessica Ramos, Brad Lanzer, and Scott Stringer so far. Other than that, we've spoken with Zoran Mamdani, and he has not committed to sending us a letter. We did not speak to Zellner Myrie, and we have not spoken with Michael Blake yet. We've actually put in those requests. They've just not responded. And I was texting Curtis Sliwa the other day. Curtis said that he would connect with our team to schedule an appointment. I invited him on our show. He said he would love to. Now it's just a matter of them actually committing to the schedule. So remember what we said. We will only rank a member running for a candidate running for office if they commit to our issues and they agree to come to our forum. If they don't show up to the forum, we're not ranking them. Okay. I wrote this last week. Okay. Eileen, as you know, I do not live in New York City. Is there a limit on what I can donate to Jim? I'll find out, Eileen. I believe, I don't know. John, if you're in here, if you can answer that question, I cannot answer that question. It might be $2,000. I honestly don't remember. And I think the maximum for matching was like $250, if I'm correct. Regina says, when you vote, only pick Jim. Do not use ranked choice. I'm sure we'll give you more guidance as we get closer to that, because that's not something I'm familiar with. Anna Berry. Anna says, that's for thought to start our own retirees association. That's what I'm thinking, Anna, because if they have a history, why do that? Why join them? Because I bet you if all the DC 37 retirees in our organization join in solidarity a group and you create an organization, you could do Zoom calls, you could pay a little dues that would help fund your Zoom, would help run some of your administrative costs, run your newsletter, and it would also help with whatever funding of stuff that you might need to do. It's not a bad deal, and it's just an idea. You could always do both. Look, when Stu Leibowitz was alive, Stu was running DC 37 retirees. He said to me, look, Marianne, your people have a different pension than the rest of DC 37. So my suggestion is you start your own retirees association, because I'm not going to leverage all of the DC 37 retirees for something specific to fix a problem that only affects a small number of people. So, because at the time we were fighting some for World Trade Center stuff that didn't affect a whole bunch of civilians. At least that's what they thought. Later, we learned that that was not true. But this is why. This is exactly why. So I started the FDNY EMS retirees, and that's how that came to fruition. So we didn't necessarily need DC 37. We really haven't. I've always believed in, and Stu always said to me, while you're running your own organization, advocate for us too, because it helps us with political action. But that's when they were politically active and they were protecting employees and retirees, not working against them. At this point, for what Ann Widger is doing, letting all of our elected leaders go away, fighting against us, lobbying against our legislation, lobbying against what we're doing and protecting our Medicare. She's okay with stripping retiree benefits away from retired unionists strictly to fund an active worker. That's disgusting and disgraceful, and that's not union. So, shush. My dog's freaking out. But I don't see any reason to support that. That's just my opinion. Kathy says, me too for Jim, gave twice and promoted him everywhere. John, yet another mayoral Dem hopeful, hedge fund manager playing super centrist, Whitney Tilson. He was on Brian Lara's radio show today. I'll have to go listen to him because he hasn't had a meeting with us, but he actually wrote us that he would join our forum. So we'll see what happens. Will there be a bus from Staten Island again? That bus, Doreen, was for the day we went up for the press conference on our bill. This would be, if I can't get 50 people to come from Brooklyn and Staten Island, I really can't do that bus from Staten Island. It would probably end up just having to come from, maybe I could probably do Brooklyn and Queens to Brooklyn. I would need a location where the people could park. I don't know if that's possible, but if not, I'm just going to have the two buses leave from Manhattan, and everyone just come to Manhattan, and it'll be the same kind of timing. We need to be up in Albany at 1:00, but we'll start to work on that like within the next 2 weeks, and I'll let you know because that may change. Who knows? Kathy says yes on our own owned association. So Anna, reach out to Ray and Neil, because I did send them an email with a little goodie inside of it and with some optimism and how they can start this. Camille says, and then they have the nerve to send out letters saying, get organized to fight against efforts to gut Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. Send them an email back telling Lee Saunders to kiss your ass in Macy's window, because that's ridiculous. Tell them if that's the case, why are you allowing Henry Garrido and Ann Widger to strip our Medicare and fight against us in protecting our benefits? So anytime they send you an email, send them right one back and spam the hell out of them. Just do it. Enjoy yourself. Whatever you want. And that's why I said create that extra email so you're not putting this garbage in your general email box. Screw them. Ellen says, I will be in Manhattan for the bus for Bentkowski with bells on. That'll be like our last hurrah, because we're headed back to the New York State Court of Appeals on that case. You'll love that courtroom. It's beautiful. Did you say you've already posted the bus request? No, I've not even drafted it up yet. Give me a little time. I'm kind of overwhelmed with all this other crap that we got going on. Katie, think about the power of collective voices here. Anything is possible. Yes, it is. By joining together, we have made older people less invisible and less vulnerable. You gave us a chance to have a voice. At least some people listen. We're so grateful. Well, I'm grateful for you guys for listening and believing that you do have that power. You just had to use it. So that's important. Basically, that's all I got. Just keep doing your homework. Gerald, did the DC 37 email the council member it sent to is predetermined? So let me tell you about this one, Gerald. I like that you asked me that question. It's dependent. They don't do it the way we do it. It's dependent on your address. So if you're bored this weekend and you got nothing to do, look up all the knuckleheads behind me, all of them that are not on the bill, and look up their district offices. And every time you do that email, you stick in their district office, because then that email goes to one person, the person you put their address in. So if one email you want to go to Jennifer Gutierrez, and then another one you want to go to Tiffany Caban, and then another you want to go to Sandy Nurse, just go to the council website, look up their district office, type it in, click send, and it goes to that one member. So you can keep on doing that. I know it's a little bit more tedious and it's a pain in the ass, to be quite honest with you, but not everyone is smart as we are. Just remember that if you're unable to change the language and put your own 2 cents in the body, X out and close it up and send us an email and say, danger, danger, and then I'll close it down. So anyway, Inez says, you have to push for donations. I think people are getting too complacent. Inez, April, we don't do donations for the first 3 months of the year. We never did. There's just no point in it. Donations don't come in January, February, March. They just haven't in the last 4 years we're doing this. This year, we will start again, going towards the end of April, into end of March into April. But we are coming back. Don't worry. And I also wanted to give you that leeway to not, hammer you for donations to the organization and for the political campaigns that you wanted to support. It gave you that ability. And those that want to give are going to give anyway. And those ones that are on recurring donations will do that too. But I didn't want to pressure you. It'll come back. We'll start again starting for April. But don't worry, because we still have to pay our attorneys for the May court case. We have to pay them to prepare the documents, prepare the amicus, do the amicus briefs, stuff. What do you call that? My brain is short circuiting. All the documents to prepare for our court case, and then prepare for oral arguments for May. And you're talking about 2 law firms. And then we also have to do our taxes, which are due in May. And that's another lawyer. Let's see. Gerald says the more candidates we get to support 1096, more pressure to put on those that didn't sign on. Absolutely. I signed up monthly. So easy. Thank you, Carol. I do appreciate that. So, I want you to think that some people will say, oh, the UFT election. This is another thing that keeps coming up. There's 3 caucuses. Well, I don't really consider the UFT a caucus. I don't really think of these groups as caucuses. Think of them as candidates. You have 3 candidates, just like you do in the mayoral election. You have an independent, you have a Republican, and you have a Democrat. And the Democrats, you've got like 8 candidates, and there's a primary. When they narrow down the Democratic candidate, you will most likely have 3 candidates. A Republican, a Democrat, and an independent. If you guys think Adrienne Adams is in this election to win this election, I'm really not apt to believe that. I think she's in this election to pull votes away from Andrew Cuomo. I don't think she's a serious contender. I don't think anyone knows her. And I think the people that do are disgusted with her because they put her in with Adams and Adams. There are other candidates that are better suited for this job than Adrienne Adams, especially the way she has treated senior citizens, the elderly, the disabled, line of duty widows, our disabled children, New York City retirees. I don't think that's going to fly. And she's not protecting healthcare, which is one of the things that she keeps talking about. And she's talking out both sides of her ass at this point about what she could do for the city while she's hitting all the TV circuits. So I'm not convinced on that. But yet you will have 3 candidates. And if Jim has showed you anything, here is a guy that was very successful as a federal prosecutor. And yet him getting his voice out told people who he was and what he stood for and what he wants to do. And people saw the light in that message. And they supported him to the point, whereas an independent candidate, not on a mainstream ticket, is competing with the best of them. So don't discount any caucus in the UFT and think that they can't win. If what they have to say resonates, then it will. Now, also for the people in the UFT that keep talking crap about, oh, well, in 2022, sorry, Janet, I'm going to use you for example about something I said about a candidate in 2022. Well, there are people that are swooning over Andrew Cuomo or whoever, even though they had discretions and major discretions in their careers. If someone did something wrong, and I'm not talking about the politicians, in this case, what did the chapter leaders do? Let's take this pension debacle, for example. Michael Mulgrew's office wrote an email to retired teachers walking back his support to the pension bill where they were trying to leverage your pensions to fund the stabilization fund. They didn't tell active workers. Who did they tell? Retirees. How did active workers get the message? They didn't get an email like you guys did. They only told disseminate the message. if you're the union president, why didn't you tell everyone? Why didn't you tell the active workers what you did? Because then they would be pissed off with him and they wouldn't vote for him. However, there's a handful of people here that want to put shame on a candidate that used to be party to that. What did Michael Mulgrew do? Tell chapter leaders, this is the message. Medicare Advantage, yay, it's wonderful. Sell it to your schools. Loyal person, loyal chapter leader did what their person was told, what they were told by their union leader. Then they smarten up to the issue and walk it back. Why would you condemn that? We've always said to the unions that supported this in the beginning because they were lied to, like Amy Arundel, lied to by leadership. We always said to those unions, you're being lied to. We said to Amy, you're being lied to. They didn't all agree with us in the beginning. They thought we were crazy until finally they heeded the message. And many of you were on one of these Friday Night Lives where a union president from the district council was in this live. And he said he was one of those people. And Neil Frumkin introduced me to him at a Labor Day parade. And he didn't want to talk to me. And I went up to him and I said something like, I hear you think I'm crazy. And he finally listened and he made time. And Neil spoke to him and other people spoke to him. And guess what? Now he's here with us. So you can't condemn someone for believing a leader and then recognize that they were lied to, right the wrong, walk away from the leader, and then advocate to protect you, and you still want to condemn them. I don't stand for that. And you shouldn't either. Just because they spread the wrong message 3 years ago doesn't say that they don't know the message today and they recognize what they did was wrong. But remember something. They did what they were told. They were loyal followers, and they followed blindly like we did. Remember when this started? When this started, we didn't believe our unions did this to us. We thought it was the city. Then we learned our unions did this with the city. So I have to disagree with that position. I disagree that a third party, three candidates can't unseat the incumbent. They can. You have the power of the vote. That is up to you. How you use it is up to you. And that's all I got to say about that. All right. Patricia. Mulgrew sends his rep to lobby city council members against 1096. I know. I happened to see Bridget Rain at city council lobbying against our bill. She didn't recognize me because I was wearing a hat and sunglasses. And I heard her lobbying against our bill. So yes, you are 100% correct. I don't think either Adams will win. Yep, I'm now dubbing them the Adams family. This sneaking and skulking around by Mulgrew's leadership is really dangerous. Why and how any elected can trust him? Oh, right. They're followed by the money endorsements. Yes, I told you that, but they're all owned like NASCARs. And for parapay that isn't pensionable. Yep, that to me is criminal. People who are already struggling financially, you're going to give them a $10,000 bump up, circumventing collective bargaining, get the council to pass a bill. But when they retire, that money's not pensionable. They're even more in a hole. That's great. That's something to be proud of. Are Mulgrew's minions still in lockstep with unity? I'm not following the question, Eileen. I think all Mulgrew's minions are unity. All right. It's just about an hour. It's going on 7. I'm going to end this here. I appreciate everything that all of you did. Thank your moderators for everything that they're doing in answering your questions and being on the board. If you're going to go tomorrow to that event, it starts at 11 a.m. in Foley Square. Just note that they are expecting about 9,000 or 10,000 people. We will have our truck there with some pretty creative images. It'll mostly be attended by a large healthcare organizations as well as multiple citywide unions, And there it will be in Foley Square from 11 o'clock. I don't know how long it will be, maybe 2 hours. But to get rid of 9 or 10,000 people, if that's what's expected, will be kind of crazy. Then May 15th is we're going to Albany. I will work on that, work on putting up that sign-up sheet. And then we also have to put up the sign-up sheet for April 17th, which is our mayoral forum in Manhattan. So I'll also put that up too. So you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for putting your support behind the candidates that did get behind us. And keep following our other social media for updates and chuckles, because I'll promise I'll make you laugh. I'll tell you the crappy shit that's happening, but I'll also make you chuckle, because I think you need that. I know I do. And my favorite meme is still that one of Henry with the tiny little feet. But you enjoy your weekend. No, Cuomo has not answered my email and has not responded yet either. Sorry, John. But I love you guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you Monday. And Monday's St. Patrick's Day. Wear green. I'll see you then.
Don't speak what you don't understand. The truth is not in your command. Don't shout about what you think is fake. The decision isn't yours to make. Don't lie about the way things are. Tall tales will take you very far. Don't scoff when they say it's the end. In this life, you know you can't pretend. The days pass by.